So, I welcome you to this preview of the Serie A match day 25. And we are going to check this match day as we usually do with the assistance of the Betmaster Tool, which you can get access to as well if you follow the link in the description. So we are going to check here what market thinks about these upcoming matches and what our computer or the Betmaster Tool with my personal settings thinks of it. And if we want to check the settings that I have, they are usually and largely based on the results. So we have a couple of parameters here, and they divide into goals expected to score, goals expected to concede, which sums up to the total goals expected when they play all the other teams in the league. That would be the total expected, and that is the quotient. So you could as well multiply these with 38 and you would find out what kind of goal difference you would expect for them. And you could also compare these values with previous seasons and for example, or with the previous season, and then you would find out that they are pretty close and they are updated regularly with every incoming result. So the computer is doing a very good job here with this compilation. And if you have the for and against at home and away, you see that it's making a difference about the expectancies at home and away from home. And this is described within the home factor, which is more or less just the relationship between these values. And so the computer, of course, does a pretty good job here, but you still could say, well, I figure Genoa are better than Spezia, or Empoli are better than Sampdoria, or whatever you think. Could be the case here. Fiorentina better than Lazio, or well, what other chances are there? Juventus could be better than Milan, so you could simply drag and drop them up here, or change the quotient, or change the total goals if you think there are too few or too many coming. But you also have a very good way of comparing this, whether or not you are doing a good job here, or what is the value they performed at. You can check that with plenty of these rates here. This is well, you get plenty such values here. If you see something green, then it usually means they are good. This is Lazio. They are good, better than average. If you see here, that means if there's light green or green, then it means they are better than what we expected. If it's red, it's not so good. And here it's the same thing. So we actually evaluated them pretty well because there's not a lot of deviation here, but you also see, well, it's partly green, partly red, so they are doing okay. But that, if you think about what you expected from Lazio or Bologna, you may easily say it is just fine. I mean, no one, well, Lazio, maybe people would have expected a bit better, and we can see this in the table here. They are in 6th place, even ahead of Roma, where I still would say Roma are the better side. They are level on points, a bit behind the top, but still maybe possibility to catch up here. But maybe they are just belong to 6th and 7th place, and also Fiorentina in 8th place. But maybe some minor changes here. But you would see here the strength they played at and what they are rated at. So you see as well how much space there would be for adjustment. For example, Lazio could be slightly even overrated. Also, Roma could be slightly overrated by the computer, or less, or you would have a little bit of space to adjust them here. They are rated at the moment at this value, and this is the value they played at. Simply the quotient of 40 divided by 30. Anyway, I mean, this is just to explain that the tool, you can choose your settings whichever way you wish it to be, and thus compile any price you like to have. But it's usually based on the results, and it's usually pretty reasonable where they come from and where they are going to, reflecting all the developments as well. And they play, sometimes they get a couple of bad results, but they have good opposition, for example, and people sometimes forget. And the computer does not, and it does care for that. And if we look here, we even can say, well, they won 39 points. This is even a bit better than what I expected, or the computer, or with my settings expected. Same story here. They even won a few more points, and you see 28 points. You could easily say, well, Bologna are 28 and Lazio are 39. So you know the table, and they are here, they are there. But no one really knows what you expected from them. Or that is the bonus here. Or in this case, I would say, well, I've just done a good job. If you look at this, then you would see, are they doing well at the moment? And then you see win, draw, win. This is fine. Didn't concede a goal in the last three. But before that, loss, draw, win, win, loss. Well, it's more or less where they have always been. So nothing spectacular here. But here, Bologna's side, you could say, recently they lost their shape. Just 2 points in the last 5 games. So if anything, maybe we could go with the home side here. And I have this comparison here with my statistic-based model, which is an alternative to compile the prices. And this will be coming into the tool anytime soon, but we are not quite there yet. But if you compare these, 1.1 in their favor, both sides with a little higher expectancy than this, than in the Betmaster Tool. But still, it would somehow confirm you could go with Lazio at 166. It is a bit above the true price, and more or less, if they are both rated okay, but if anyone is in a bad shape at the moment, then it is Bologna. So even some more confirmation. So home win Lazio would be a choice. Napoli is just around the true price, so we wouldn't dive too deep. We wouldn't. And market also says very, very even game. If you ask them, the 355 on the draw is even an indication here, then I would say, okay, not a bad choice. I mean, Inter would be happy. Those top games usually are a bit more draw prone, maybe. And Inter just defending the top, right? And the valuation is here fine. Of course, Inter are even a bit better now with a very good run recently, and they lost the derby. And actually, Napoli caught up a bit, but the derby was, I mean, you cannot count that really regularly, but still a loss is a loss. So, I mean, but Inter would happily wish to defend their top spot, right? They are 1 point ahead with the game in hand, but a loss would mean they for the moment would lose the top. So a draw would be a very fair result for them, or a very desired result. Sorry, I didn't mean to close this one, or I just wanted to check maybe the draw affinity of the two, which is not really high. That may be one of the reasons why market is so high. It still is a special game, right? 1 against first against second or second against first. And we can also compare here what we think about the draws or what we find out. There's expected 4.05 and they played at 4.14 as the average draw price. So the whole league is not really a drawish league. There have been many draws recently in Europe, all over the place. But in Italy, it's more or less just an average value, or even a bit less. In Torino, Venezia, it looks as if either x2 or nothing, or maybe draw or x2, and we can compare this as well with the statistic-based model, what this one thinks about the game. I forgot the pairing. Oh, here it says even Napoli with a small edge. Here it's giving the small edge to Inter, so we would even be happier with a draw, more or less, right? What was this one? Oh, sorry, something severely gone wrong here. Atalanta against Juve. Okay. Where's the mistake here? So we are going to do this on the fly, so maybe bad preparation by myself. But I have to copy this in here so you can watch me doing this. You can export this as well. What you will get is the expected, the game stats. You can also have a look at later, and maybe even do your own calculations on that in the first place. I mean, export them game by game and then do some statistics on them, on their totals also. Anyway, we had the first one. It was still fine here. We are happy with the Lazio. It's a bit closer here. I'm sorry for that mistake, but we are a bit closer here. Napoli, this is the same thing. Small edge to Inter, or very even, or even a small edge to Napoli. Considering their current shape, well, either opinion, it's a very even game, and we can go for the draw. Maybe I would I saw them both. They are very good. I would maybe possibly still slightly favor Napoli, but it's not fair to say so. So it's just an even game. What was the other one we were just judging? That was this one, and Torino against Venezia. Here it disagrees slightly, a bit more of an edge to Torino, which means maybe, well, still the draw, but doesn't look so reliable in this case, because the league itself is not so goal prone, and Torino even a bit, somewhat bigger edge. In the Milan Sampdoria, it would either say x2 or nothing. Of course, we have to compare that. It's a goal difference here, 1 goal difference, and here it's a bit, well, it's very close. It's also 1 goal. So we could, in fact, possibly go with Sampdoria if we get a fancy price here. That's 2.97, so we would lay something around 1.5, which is what we would happily do. We have 167, market is on 144, 140. Of course, I know Sampdoria are struggling and so on. I saw their game at Roma when they drew, but they are all very good, I mean, obviously. But maybe Sampdoria really have a chance. So we still have Lazio, Napoli a draw, here rather not the draw, Here the X2 in Milan, Sampdoria, Empoli, Cagliari. Here it would happily go with Cagliari, and I would of course instantly sign that, given the shape, the home shape, and the recent shape of Cagliari. But here we see there's a huge difference between these two evaluations, so I'm instantly gonna skip this one. I take my hats off to market and say well assessed, although somehow by intuition I would think Cagliari have a fair chance here not to lose the game after they caught up a bit, and Empoli at home are not so good. Cagliari with a very good away win at Atalanta, I think, and before that a draw against Fiorentina, before that lost maybe at Roma, but 2 wins before, so they are coming closer, and the home record by Empoli 3-1-8, of course Cagliari not so good on the road, but this is because they are not so good in general. I would somehow tend to go with Cagliari. Genoa against Salernitana, we have that same story. I mean, Ribéry with his debut actually for Salernitana, they drew. Maybe it's not too late, and it's a very important one, of course, because Genoa are in deep trouble as well. In Italy, usually, those very important games for the tradition, high tradition clubs would still somehow go their way. That's what market thinks here. We check that with a tool here. It fully agrees that Salernitana should have a chance. So in this case, I would obviously have to go with Salernitana. I mean, both in some terrible, dire straits, but they drew this one against Spezia. It's nothing, no gain really. But two losses at Napoli and against Lazio can happen, of course. Before that, a win and a draw. I mean, they are struggling. They are trying. It's maybe not too late yet. This is a horrible goal difference. But for Genoa, the same thing here. By stats, it would still be somehow in favor of Salernitana. So, as the statistical method tells us, so in fact, but market usually leans too much into Italy. Somehow there's something different. You understand? It's Genoa need to win it, so the price is going down, and they are of high tradition. It's really a tough one, but I have to go with Salernitana. Verona against Udinese looks similar, but here I would happily support Udinese if this tool here would confirm, and it does. The statistical method says more or less a similar difference, very, very good. So it looks as if Udinese have a fair chance here. It's the same price, same thing. I know that and understand that, of course, Verona did a very good job and are really playing well. But Udinese are a high tradition club as well, and even more than. And they are in trouble. I mean, here it's not such an awful trouble, but because they are not catching up here. But still, they are not safe yet. It's just 6 points between them, 6 goals, 6 points. So this is not this much. I would trust Udinese here. X2 confirmed by the computer. Here it might once again try to go with Roma. I know it is a touchy one. Usually Roma do have very fair statistics, and I like them as well. So people may say, well, it's you bet on Roma because it's your team, something like that. And here it's not fully confirmed, but still it should be easily good enough. So I would have to go once again with Roma, whereby, well, knowing that Sassuolo are a side to like, and then they actually, are playing very, very good football. But and they all do so, right? And I would still somehow, I mean, Roma won 1-0 against Cagliari, and afterwards couldn't see off 10-man Genoa, 0-0 draw, still pretty safe and defensive, and didn't concede a goal here. Okay, I was wrong. No, yeah, well, this was the win. I saw the other one when they even got into trouble at Empoli after being 4-0 up, but in fact it was a comfortable win, so not an awful shape here. And Sassuolo a bit losing their shape here with just a single point in last three. So I would happily go with Roma here. Atalanta against Juve, maybe very well. Atalanta, I don't understand the team, because they had been playing so well at Napoli, that was, and after which I said I'm gonna go with them, and then they couldn't win a single game anymore. And well, here it says the market confirmed we do not go with Juve, no way, and I'm happy with that. I wouldn't love to go with them, but I know that Atalanta lost their shape for some reason that I cannot understand. But of course, it's a very, very competitive league, right? Am I right? Yeah, after a single win in last six, I'm close enough, and lost their shape. Well, Juve are usually pushing up and coming closer, even with the 45 points now, above what I expected, which had not been the case all season. They are fine with the 43, but still here they lost their shape. Anyway, no bet there. And in this one, we had to lay the Fiorentina price, giving this evaluation here, 197. That one would confirm. We have to go with Spezia not to lose. We need confirmation here. It is close enough. It's 0.4 goals. Here it's 0.35 goals in favor of Fiorentina. Slightly higher chance in the statistic-based model, but I'm still fine. So we have Lazio, maybe very, very close, because statistic-based model is a bit lower. Still, it's fine because Bologna lost their shape. Napoli, Inter, maybe the draw. In Torino, Venezia, no bet more or less. I would like to take the draw. The Venezia, it's a bit too low. Milan, we have to take the X2. In Empoli, Cagliari, we have to skip, whereby I would love to go with Cagliari. Genoa, Salernitana, we have to give them a chance. X2. Verona, the same story here. It's very similar evaluation by myself and by market. No idea why. So we have the twice not to lose, the away sides, X2. And here we have a win for Roma. Here we have a pass. And here we have a home win or draw, Spezia not to lose. So these are my bets for this match day. And I'm happy to see you here, and I'll be back. So thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.